Thank you for joining us at our July Alumni Q&A webinar for 2026. In this series, we are diving into real stories and challenges, wins from the classroom, straight from those who've actually lived it. I'm Erin. I'm your host this evening. I'm from Cohort 2018, and I was placed in Melbourne back in the day. I'm currently based in Darwin on Larrakia country. And before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, that we are all joining from different country around Australia. And we would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. And I'd like to extend that respect to any Indigenous people who are here with us tonight. I acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and contributions, and I declare that sovereignty was never ceded. If you would like to add into the chat, please feel free to add the country you're joining from, if you know it. At the moment, I'm in Larrakia country up in Darwin. But yeah, I was placed in Melbourne in Woiwurrung country. So tonight we are recording as well. So hello to everyone who joins us here live this evening, but hello also if you're watching later on, and welcome. We're going to kick off with some little intros from our panelists, and then we have a few pre-prepared questions before we can open it up to a live question and answer. Please feel free to drop those questions in the Q&A box. We're keeping an eye on it, and as I said, this session is being recorded, so you can come back if there's anything that you were trying to recall. If you're not sure what Teach For Australia is or need a bit more information, we are a not-for-profit. Our goal is to work to close the education gap, and we want to do that by placing talented people into schools that serve low socio-economic communities, and supporting them to become great teachers, great leaders. Since 2010, we've had over 1,700 associates in more than 300 schools across the country. So yeah, I'll start with a little bit about myself. As I said, my name's Erin. I was placed in Cohort 2018. It was actually my third time applying to get into the program. And I can't even remember how I'd heard of it. I just knew that I wanted to do it. And I'm now working for Teach For Australia, which is sort of a bit of a full circle. So my main role is coaching our first and second year associates in the classroom, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm loving all the conversations that I have with them about their classrooms and my visits to the school. We have three guests scheduled to attend tonight. We have Sam with us already, and we have Dushani with us already. Evan hopefully will be able to join us, but very relatably, I believe this is clashing with some bedtime duties. So we're hopeful he can still join us, but we will wait and see. So we might start with Sam. Could you tell us about your relationship and history with Teach For Australia, what cohort you're from, how you heard about TFA, and your school history? So where you were placed and where you are now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Cohort 2024, this is my first year free of study. So first year being a provisional teacher without the study and just the focus on the classroom, which has been awesome. Funnily enough, this is when I joined in 2024, that was my second attempt. And the first time I tried was back in I think it was actually around 2015, 2016. I had a friend who was going through Teach For Australia. She had just finished or was about halfway through. And I thought it was a phenomenal opportunity. But yeah, it just didn't line up at the time, and just world was happening around me. And then I thought, funnily enough, after my daughter was born, which just seems crazy to think now, to apply again for Teach For Australia. And yeah, I managed to achieve a spot in 2024, and I was placed, so I'm based in Melbourne. I was placed in Hampton Park Secondary College, which is about 35 minutes away, like 40 minutes away from where I live. And after I finished my first placement for the 2 years, I ended up taking up a new position at Cranbourne West Secondary College, which is just down the road, where I take or teach media arts and year 7, 8, 9, and 12 software development, digital technologies, which has been a massive undertaking recently, but very, very, very fun, especially now that the study side is away. So yeah, my daughter, when I actually started TFA, she was 1. So she was very, very, very new, and we're all very, very unsure what the world was going to look like, especially going through study and going through with obviously a new career. I was a filmmaker beforehand, and I worked as an insurance underwriter for a few years. So I had multiple careers, and then I decided teaching was the next big thing. And yeah, it really kind of took off from there, I guess. But honestly, it's been probably the best thing I've ever did, stress aside.
Thanks, Sam. Dushani, would you be able to tell us about your journey with Teach for Australia as well?
Yeah, I actually had to count back to figure out what cohort I was in. And I did that based on all the students that have graduated. So I've got a
Yeah.
list here, and I think it was 2021. So 21, yeah, that's when I started.
Yep.
Cohort 2021. It feels so weird to say that because it felt like it went on forever and then it was done. It was very, I won't lie, it was a bit traumatic at a certain stage. My daughter was 2 at the time. So I remember when I used to be a scientist before I got into this, and I was pregnant with my daughter, and I thought, oh my God, mat leave. What am I going to do with myself? So I stupidly thought, this is so stupid because I've got 6 years of a gap between me and my daughter. So I actually thought that I could study. That was dumb because I completely forgot how hard it was to have a newborn. And that's when I started looking into teaching. And I had looked at what was it, ACU, but not TFA. I had no idea TFA even existed. It wasn't until I started Googling some stuff, TFA came up, and I'm like, hey, this sounds a bit too good to be true. So you're telling me that you guys are going to do all the work and I just have to study? That was it. But yeah, so I once my daughter was 2 years old, because reality kicked in and I realized that I was just being stupid, thinking that a newborn and studying was something I could do. I couldn't. But once I went back to the lab after mat leave, I was part-time, and I think I wasn't feeling it anymore. I always gravitated towards taking people on board and teaching them stuff, or especially when we had students who were on placement. So I really started actively looking into how I could get into teaching. I was petrified. We had a mortgage. I had 2 kids. One was very little. So obviously having a stop to income to study, especially my income as well, it was just unfathomable at the time. So that's when Teach for Australia, just Googled it, came up, and I'm like, you know what, let's give it a shot. Applied, got in, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It was insane. I'll be honest, I had my daughter on one lap, my son here, and when TFA finished, I felt like they watched my kids grow for that 2 years as well, because I had them in the background. My daughter was really clingy. So, and honestly, one of the things that I learned from this process was I had to start voicing myself a bit more and ask for help instead of being a martyr, as us women sometimes like to do, because we like to take everything on board and then yell at our partners, because that's what I used to do. But now I started asking him for help and telling him, hey, I need you to do this, this, this. And it was a collaborative job. So here I am now. And I teach chemistry. So I was placed in a school in the western suburbs in Victoria. And I'm still there because I just generally, I love the kids. I fell in love with the school, fell in love with the subject as well, surprisingly. But yeah, so I teach chemistry and I was placed to teach chemistry for year 10s, 11s, and 12s. So really got into the deep end with the VCE load, and then juggling TFA and two kids. Let's say that the blonde is because of all the grays. Yeah.
It looks great. It looks great.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sam and Dushani. It's one of the things we really want to do in our recruitment process is to find people who are passionate about not just making a difference, but using their experiences, their real life skills, education to do that. So it's really great to have so many associates in the program that bring such a wealth of experience and different career pathways and life experiences, including having children, to the program. So there's lots and lots of information about the program on our website, and Kelly in the chat may also be able to direct you if there's anything specific you're looking for. But I will start with our prepared couple of questions. So the first question is, I think you've both touched on it a little bit already. How did you manage to balance the demands of the leadership development program of teaching, marking, planning, as well as the ACU work, as well as your responsibilities as a parent or a carer? I guess, is there something specifically that really worked for you in that space?
I might jump in. I think it was asking for help. As someone that has an inability to ask for help, and I think it's raised in a migrant family, oldest daughter of, I've got three other brothers and sisters who are considerably younger than me. I was the interpreter for my parents. I was pretty much everything for my parents. So that independency was a big thing for me. So asking for help felt like a kick in the gut in a way. It was really out of character, but God, now I don't shut up when it comes to asking for help. And I know that there's a community of people that are there who are willing to help. And it was just, it was really one of the things that I really got out of it. And this is going to sound really corny, but I think it made my relationship stronger as well because I wasn't so spiteful. Like I could actually say, hey, you've got to get started on do you mind watching the kids? Because I'm going to pull an all-nighter tonight. I've got an assignment due and I've got to go to work. There was a lot of tears. Tears in front of the classroom as well because you get overwhelmed. And yeah, but I think that was the human side of it coming out. And sometimes people just need to see the ugly. And I just needed to collapse a bit. But I had to lean on everyone, the principal, TFA community, my partner, my family, every single person was there for me. But it was that the strangers, like that TFA community, that was the biggest support network that I had. And I think that's what stands out about this program is that community. And you ask for help, the amount of hands that go up who are willing to assist you in any shape or form, it just overwhelms you. And I think I've carried that forward as well in who I am and in my practice now. We've got a TFA associate at school right now who's also a parent. And one of the things that I bring on board is kindness and just, you know what? It's okay. You're good. You got this. Whatever help you need, I'm here. So yeah.
That's lovely. Thank you, Dushani.
Okay.
Sam?
Yeah, I think actually Dushani touched on like several points that almost mirror my journey through it. First and foremost, I think throughout the program, teaching was obviously my goal. I wanted to do well in the program. I really wanted to become a teacher. I knew that even though the ACU part was probably the hardest part about it, so many other cohorts before me had done it. So like I knew it was possible. And I think knowing that was kind of that first stepping stone. It was like, well, surely so many other people have come before me. I know it's possible. I can definitely do it. It's definitely tough in a lot of instances, and it feels like you're only halfway through, and then you look at the assignments and like it's just not possible. But people have done it, so I'm like, well, obviously we've got to keep moving forward. Dushani touched on the community. That was probably the biggest secondary part. Obviously, my family came first. I think in a lot of instances, when you had an assignment due on the Sunday and you're like, I want to spend time with my family, you just make the choice. The family comes first, and TFA were probably the most forgiving of that, most wholeheartedly. ACU to a degree. I remember the CPA teacher for media. She's a mother, obviously, and she knew exactly what was going on, and there was assignments due, and it was right in the middle of marking, and it was just a lot going on. And I think because the TFA program is so special and it's so well known now, everyone kind of just got it, and it just sort of made sense. It's like we all know we're struggling with the workload, but we all came from different lives and different backgrounds. And I think that helped out the most. It's like the people that didn't have kids and didn't understand that there was a third thing I had to think of besides teaching and ACU. It was my family, and there was people who had kids and they absolutely knew that now it goes kids, and then it goes trying to become a teacher, and then hopefully passing ACU. But the support you receive, like even now, I feel like you have to just pay it forward. You receive so much so early on that even I get messages from, so I'm based in Melbourne, I get messages from teachers in WA, in Queensland asking for help because my subject for Digitech is quite specialised, but the community just brings us all together. And because I received so much help early on, I was like, well, obviously I'm going to help. Like it just seems the most sense because I needed them when they were there for me. But my partner was phenomenal throughout the whole process. I think communication was exceptionally important. There was just days where, and I think Dushani touched on it, you just have to pull an all-nighter, or there's just 3 things that need to get done at the same time, and you just have to communicate and say, I will be around, like I'll be in the house, but I just can't give all of the attention right now. And then there's days when you just go, no, I'm just focusing on my family today. And I think that balance was absolutely necessary because I left it thinking I succeeded definitely ACU when I succeeded at the program. And the first school I was at was great. The second school I'm at is even better. And just keeping my head up throughout the whole process, knowing that clearly people have gone through this. I can absolutely do this. The support you receive early on is pushing you forward. They don't want you to fail. And I think that was the best part about it. It was just that you will feel like you are going to fail, but you look around at everyone else and they're kind of staring at you going, no, you won't. Like, you feel like you will, but no, you won't. And that was awesome. I definitely needed that. And I think especially watching my daughter grow up, like she was there when I submitted my last assessment, which was awesome. Like she was in the room and we pressed the button together and the little confetti goes off on the ACU website. It was awesome. It was brilliant. And at the end of that, I just kind of went, oh, well, I just on a random Thursday finished your master's degree and you're done. And then you go, oh, now I'm done. That's it. Like I'm just back to normalcy. I've just done 2 years of teaching, and you just kind of feel like it was all worth it at that point. And I think that was the best part about it, really. It was the community built up along the way really supported you. Your family definitely supported you, and you got closer because of it. And I think because in the last role I was in, I was enjoying it, but it wasn't like my goal. I didn't want to be in the role I was in. Mm-hmm. And I think my partner definitely saw me succeeding in something that I really wanted. And I think that made everything better at home. And I think because I made the choice to become a teacher, and the teaching community is so forgiving in a lot of instances, it was a brilliant decision. I'm so happy I made it. Yeah. And you definitely want to quit early on, but you just don't.
No, absolutely. I mean, we can get you through it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
No, I wonder if either of you had any specific strategies. Like I know I've had associates before who religiously protect Sunday. They're like, that is the day I do not do any ACU or schoolwork. Or I know another associate who's like, after 6 p.m. I don't do any work. Or I wondered if you had any very specific strategies that helped you find that work-life balance.
I think it's literally that. Like you're so time poor throughout the entire process, where you are feeling a teacher shortage in a lot of ways. So the school itself can really only help you so far, where they just need you in the classroom supporting the students. And there's teachers who have been there for 15, 20 years, and there's you who've just started out. They will treat you the same in a lot of instances. So you've just got to power through that. But you have to have that separation. You have to go, no, I'm doing an ACU assignment. It is due. If anything, and it's hard for a lot of people, but I really had to plan maybe months ahead almost. Like you get your ACU schedule for your first semester and you go, okay, I've got 3 assessments, and they're always due at the same time, which is just bonkers to me. And you just have to map it out, and you just have to go, well, I literally can't do anything possible that weekend, or I can't do anything possible that Sunday, because I'm just going to finish it and then my assessment's done. And then you move forward and you go, well, no, I've got my daughter's got an event for a kinder, and you go to that and you're like, no, okay, no events on this day. But yeah, you have to schedule your life for those 2 years. Like you are pulling time from nowhere some days and you're just making it work. But yeah, you have to have the schedule. The schedule for me, planning ahead, was probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I'm very bad. I have one of those issues where unless the due date is tomorrow, I won't start it until an hour before, like it's due. I don't know what it is. I was like this with my undergrad. I don't know. I honestly think back. I remember having a little list of the assignments and I would tick it off as I go. I'm like, oh, this is nice. That's done. This is done. And it was really perfect. It was amazing at that last leg where you have like 5 assignments and you just, and then all of a sudden it's like that one big one. But I left things till last minute, and that's just a habit, but also it was my workload. Teaching VCE, for the first time, I went in thinking, I don't think I can do this. Like, I had all these kids who want to be engineers and doctors, and I hadn't done some of that chemistry stuff since I was in high school myself. And at uni, mine was very biology based. So I know that they say don't reinvent the wheel, but I reinvented the wheel for all of my subjects. So for year 10, year 11, and year 12, because I don't know, because I'm weird and crazy, and had a clear death wish. But, I did that. And then for me, it was all-nighters. That was just something from uni as well. So even during uni stages, it would just be like the Red Bull, pull an all-nighter and submit it, whatever. That was me at uni, and I had not changed in my 30s. So it says a lot about who we are.
I don't know how you do it. I mean, I wonder if parents have had a little bit more practice functioning on not very much sleep, but I would really struggle with that.
I have no idea. And I remember there were days where I wouldn't sleep. So I'd pull an all-nighter, submit the assignment, and because I've managed to get an extension, so I submit it Monday morning and then go to work, sleep deprived, which is really bad, but I did it. Somehow I did it, but there was a lot of people used to laugh because if you went into my car, I'd have stacks and stacks of energy drinks. I wish I knew about OxyShred, because this no crash thing, bloody awesome. It has changed my life now, but now is a lot more better. So obviously juggling the masters, juggling the assignments, it was just full on. But I don't think I learned to not leave things until last minute. Now, I try, but I still leave things till last minute. So I was just perpetually last minute. I don't know.
I think it is a real challenge of the program that, your family is there and your students are there, and both of them have like a human face. And when you're juggling, those are the balls that if you drop them, they're going to break. And so sometimes things like the ACU or the marking, that's a ball that you can drop a little bit, and it's, maybe it'll bruise, but it's going to be okay.
So for me, it looked like, I have to be kind to myself as well. The assignments came in last because I was also doing dinner, doing the kids' stuff, taking the kids to school, and all those other things. Of course, my partner helped, but there was me doing all these things too. And then the kids at school needed help. So especially during that exam period, they would come in for extra help, and you will never turn away on any of those kids. So they were my second priority. My family was my first, and ACU just ended up becoming last. So, and the only thing that I could steal time from was sleep. And that's how I got through. Yeah, but I mean, I'm still sleep deprived today, so yeah.
Yeah. Gosh. um, I know both of you have really spoken as to the support of the TFA community, of the associates who helped you, and then paying that forward to other associates. I wonder if you could briefly speak to support you received outside of the TFA community and your family through the LDP, your TLC, sorry, your Teach For Australia teaching and learning coach, or your academic mentor, your in-school coach, and how they might have also impacted that journey and helped you navigate being a parent and carer as well as a teacher.
I'll go first. Sorry. I loved my mentor. My TFA mentor. She was fantastic. I still keep in touch with her today. Um, she I had a few. There was a bit of change around while I was doing my 2 years, but each and every one that I had, they were so helpful. I could call them crying, saying, "Look, I feel like I'm doing a really shit job, or this happened at school and I'm feeling a bit, overwhelmed." And they were there to listen to me. These were complete strangers that I had just met, and I'm opening up to like they're my best friend in the world. And I think it's some sort of joint trauma or something because they've gone through it as well. But they were there to listen. They were there to reach out to other people at other schools to get me resources, to get me linked up with all the support that I needed. Honestly, without, and even ACU, my ACU mentor, she helped as well to get some resources because when I inherited chemistry at my school, I had 10 students. Now I run a class of 30 something. So it's growing perpetually every year, which is unbelievable. But the resources that I had weren't that great. But if it wasn't for my TFA mentor, my ACU mentor, I wouldn't have some of the wealth of resources that I have because they reached out to the community on my behalf and got me a whole heap of stuff from God knows all over the place. And I was able to just put it all together and do something. So you have to ask for help from those sorts of people because they are there and they are willing and they're exceptional humans, honestly.
Yep. Sam, thanks.
Yeah, no, 100%. My TFA mentor Jessie was fantastic. I think she was always available whenever I needed her. I think it helped as well. She just sort of, I guess, got it some days. Like when you're sitting back and you're just thinking there's school and there's family and I'm just trying to work through the juggling of it all, and just to have that additional person that was not necessarily separate of ACU, but definitely kind of going, no, this is the program. We're here to support you in the program. And then they kind of built that community around, like Dushani mentioned, seeing it from the flip side now, seeing how like I'm being approached to ask to help these other new starters in other states. I kind of get now that they are really just trying to build that network of really supportive humans that are just there to bring you along the journey with them. And I think ACU honestly was the mentor I got from ACU was probably the biggest surprise I had. So I remember a lot of the people from earlier cohorts thinking, well, they're there to just tick you off and you're just going to do your placement. And it's more just they're not really there as that supportive person. I think it might have just been bad experiences. But my experience with my team, she was fantastic. She had taught work-related studies in VCE and going through the VM program now and having taught a couple of the VM classes like work-related studies and personal development. That whole subject is literally about the individual. It's nothing to do with ATAR. It's literally about helping an individual student achieve their goal and getting them through to get their U12 certificate. And having my AC mentor have effectively been a VCE VM teacher for so long, she just cared about me. She didn't care if my ACU assessments, even though it was kind of a role, were on track. She just cared that where I getting support from the school? Was I reaching out? Was I making sure that when she came into my classes, and I remember it was funny. She was mentoring another teacher at the school as well. There was 3 placed, and she left and she came up to me and goes, "Oh my God, I hope you don't have that class. Like that's a really full on class, and I'm so sorry that you guys have to go through that." I was like, "Well, thank you." Like, yeah, like they're hectic little dudes. Like, yeah, they're hectic. And she's like, no, like honestly, you guys you're making it work, and you're new to this, and it really shows that you care for these students. And she just blew me away by how much and I think it really came out as the VM teacher in her, that she just cared about me. And when I said, oh, look, and she cared about my daughter, and she knew about my daughter every time she met up with me, and she would ask photos to see how she was going. It was great to have that person just see me as a person trying to get through this degree, and not just a teacher she needed to tick off on the placement process. So she was fantastic. Jessie was also fantastic from TFA, but that was really my biggest shock, because I remember going into that first ACU thinking, wow, I don't know what this person's going to do. I've never met her before. She's just coming to witness me teaching. I'm probably going to fail it. Like, I clearly don't know what I'm doing. And she just sat back and went, no, this was great. Like, the students are responding to you. The students clearly are happy to be in the classroom. You're setting up a great environment. I was like, oh, thank you. And then she's like, but how are you doing? I was like, well, I wasn't thinking you're going to ask me that. All right, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm going. And it was brilliant. And
I do think our relationship over time with the tertiary provider, which is ACU, has really grown and strengthened. And some of our academic mentors now are really, really fantastic. So I'm really pleased to hear that you had those great experiences. I'm getting a couple of questions thrown to us by our audience that I might pass on. I've got a really interesting one from Isabella. Do you feel like undertaking the leadership development program took anything away from your parenting experience, or feel like you couldn't give enough of yourself to either parenting or to work and study? Sorry, I've thrown the two parts at you straight away, but really interesting. Really interesting question there. Thank you.
Do you want? I can go first if you like, or
you just go, Sam. Go.
Oh, yeah. Do I feel like I missed out anything in the like? That is a massive question. Yeah. My daughter was so young. Like, she was literally one when I started. So I saw her go through, like, not talking to walking to all of those things. And I think that's probably the most formidable years to be kind of in some spaces. Yes, I was in my office getting my study done and trying to get through this program, while at the same time knowing that my daughter is learning something new every day. Did I feel like I missed out on anything? You have to be honest on yourself and think sometimes yes, but I think that's just the reality of the program. Like, yes, I think I'd be lying to anyone by saying that I was there 24/7 and that there weren't small moments that I wish I was there for. Like, that my wife would take my daughter to like a play center and I couldn't go because I had an assignment due, and then I'd get photos from the day and my daughter's like flipping over stuff and just being an absolute menace for no reason. And I'm thinking, I wish I was there. That would have been phenomenal. But then I keep thinking of the days that I am there, and I think it kind of made the most of those moments, because yes, you'll always miss out on things. And I think that's going to happen just as a parent. Your child's going to grow up and have experiences that you're not going to be part of. And yes, she was so young, but I didn't want to kid myself that the moments I did have that I wanted to make it special they were just as special. And I think I was still there for all of the big moments, and all the moments I remember are all the positive ones. And I think it's even just being a new parent at the time, you literally block out all this, the late nights and non-sleep, and you kind of think, oh, that was actually not a bad experience, and it was awful. But like, I think that kind of, there was definitely moments that I think I missed out on. Probably, yes. Can I think back on what they are now? No. I think of all the positive stuff that I was there for, and I think of all the fun that we had, and my daughter learning how to speak throughout it, and then being like, I just finished my master's, and she being able to say congratulations, or kind of congratulations, and all the small things that kind of came along with that. And I think it was actually pretty good for her. Like, she saw me dedicated to something and really putting the time and effort into it. I could explain along with her what I was doing, and she was kind of intrigued, and part of the course actually helped me understand a little bit more about her development, which was good. So I think there was a lot of good trade-offs. Like, there'd be moments in ACU where they'd send you a video and you'd watch and go, oh, actually, I might try that. Even though it's aimed at senior students, it probably will work on most students, and it worked on her a few times. And I think that was awesome. So yes, did I miss out on stuff? Yes, definitely. Do I feel like it was do I feel like that was the worst thing? No, because I was there for all the awesome stuff as well. I can't remember what the part 2 of that question was. What was the part 2?
Oh gosh. It was, do you ever feel like you couldn't give enough of yourself either to parents or to work?
Oh yeah, the whole thing about going through this program is, unfortunately, the ACU thing is, it's just, you have to do it, whether you like it or not. whether you think it's the worst thing in the world and the assessments are unreasonable and you feel like you're in the classroom and you're learning every day, why am I showing this in written essay form? You have to do it. And on some days, you just have to accept that, yes, that for whatever reason, for those 10 minutes, for that hour is your priority. And then you hear your daughter, like she was out there going bananas just before. And you think, some days it's okay, I'm locked in my office, I'm not dealing with that. But some days you want to be out there and support as well. And yeah, definitely. I still think it was the most positive thing I've ever done. I genuinely think at the end of this, even though it was very stressful, my wife saw how happy teaching's made me. And I think it's just the relationships you have with the students over the years, and you kind of see the changes in them, like from the juniors to the seniors, and then you look at your daughter going, wow, she's about to start school next year. So like you kind of see that trajectory happen. Yeah. It's awesome. So
I mean,
very stressful.
As someone who's not a parent, I still sometimes feel when I'm teaching that I can't give enough of myself, like there's always something more that I could give. And that's, sometimes hard. Did you get a chance to answer that one yet, Dushani? I can't.
No, I was just gonna say, I gave up Sunday pancake. So every Sunday was pancake day, where I'd make chopped chip pancakes. And I remember my son like, when are you gonna make chopped chip pancakes? You haven't made it in so long. So on the rare occasions when I did make it, he'd be like so happy. But I also think that it was really important for them to see that too, like that whole, there's mum, she's doing some work, she's studying, she's trying really hard, she's working really hard. And I want them to understand that life is about working hard and not giving up. So I was, I hope that they saw that, and they saw that I still showed up. I still went to all the things that I had to go to as much as I can. I was still a part of their lives. A little boo-boo, I'm there to kiss it, or when they're sick, I'm there. Like all those sorts of things. Do I feel like, what was that second bit? Give enough of myself.
Yeah, you felt like you couldn't give enough to one or the other.
I mean, honestly, I feel like that even now. Like every single day, I'm thinking, am I doing enough for my kids? Oh my God. Should I have done this? Should I have done that? Maybe I need to approach this in a particular way. Or, you're always thinking that as a parent, and it's part of being a parent as well. But sometimes it's just, you end up doing it for yourself. Like, not saying that, this is a completely selfish reason and I neglected my kids during that time, because although they might say that I did because of the pancake. Oh God, how dare she stop making pancakes? But yeah, like I think I did what I could. Do I feel like I missed out on stuff? I mean, they're at school and I'm 100% sure I'm missing out on a wealth of things, but at the same time, I'm there for another wealth of things. So it is just one of those facts of life. You can't be there for everything. Both my kids were born premature. And I never got to see their umbilical cords fall out. So I'd go into the hospital and they're like, oh, here's this little tube of umbilical cord. I'm like, oh, yay, lovely. Thank you. I missed out on that. Or go in and they're like, oh, we washed your child for the first time. I'm like, oh, okay, sweet. I wish I was there, but okay, that's okay. It's just one of those moments in life, You don't always get those opportunities that you need, but sometimes you just have to think, you know what, I'm going to do this because I want to do this for myself, but also I'm doing this because a happy me is going to be a good mum too. So my kids will benefit from that.
So both of you have, did the program when your children were really, really young. Would you have changed that? Like, would you have, if the timing had been right, do you think it would have been better if your children were older?
Oh, I mean, sorry, Sam, go for it.
Oh, no, I was going to say, well, I don't really have anything to guess at. Like, I know teenagers now, so probably not. They're taking a lot of my time away just as it is, and they're not even mine. But she was really young, and I think at the time, no, honestly, no. I think it was the right time. Like I throughout the project, like I got a new house through the mortgage or through the program. We moved. She was born, or not born, but she was growing up. So there was a lot of things happening at the same time, changing careers. I went from being the higher income earner in the household to the less than whatever I was earning as a junior intern, my first role, straight out of uni. So it was a big change for my family, and I think all of those small changes became bigger changes that if she was older, maybe small things would have been easier. But then I keep thinking of like school pickup and drop offs. Kinder was right around the corner, school is not. So I think I was very thankful that a few things lined up early on that made it a bit easier. But also would have probably been great some days where she could get herself to school, and I wasn't there. But otherwise, no. I was in the circumstances I was in at the time I was in, and I think that was the right time for me. So
yeah, my daughter was 2, and my son would have been I can't maths right now. It's after hours, 9. I don't know, 9. Yeah. So he was and they're both they're on me all the time. God bless them, but dear God, sometimes I just want to break. But even right now, I've got her right here. So she's right here. They're always right here. But if I had to handle TFA during my son's current 13-year-old jerk phase, which I'm calling it, I think I would have shot myself. He can be a real jerk sometimes. But when they were younger, it should have been harder, but it was weirdly easier. They're a lot more, but I guess if they're older, it's probably also easier too, because you do get to, they do their own thing and you can do your thing. But having 2 kids who were very different needs at the time, so 2 and 9, it was a hard juggle, but it was a juggle that was done. And I look back at that stage and I think, wow, we did this. So yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely something to be proud of. I think the first 6 months of the program is the hardest thing I've ever done. And I think adding kids to that, yeah, you should definitely be proud of that accomplishment. I've got a couple of questions coming through about what the time commitment might actually look like in an hours per week sense. So in that first 2 years while you've got ACU, I think it's more in the first year, especially that's really where the time commitment is the heaviest. But if you would have any ideas about how many hours a week you might spend studying, or how many hours a week you might spend preparing or marking work, or any of those more school-related tasks.
I
Hard question.
That's a really tough one, because I don't think I ever paid attention to how much work I was doing, because I was just doing nonstop. Whether it was listening to a lecture while I'm driving to go pick up the kids from school, or waiting. So my half day was on a Wednesday, and I'd get to my son's school early. And I'll sit in the car park and I'll pull up my laptop and do an assignment. So yeah, so it was just, it's so hard to gauge that number, but in the first year you do feel like you're doing above and beyond. You feel like you're working pretty much every single moment of your life. But by the time you get to second year, it really dwindled down. And I heard that the TFA really listened. So that's something that I really appreciate. From the cohort that was before me to the cohort that's after me, and the cohorts that are coming through now, I think that the way that the assignments are working is that they've really listened to the feedback that past associates have given, and heard that it's either too much or this or whatever, and they've really catered to that. So I think that it's a lot different to when I did it, because looking at some of the assignments that my current associate friend who's at my work is doing right now, it's very, it's nice. It's nice. But at one stage, I remember first year, it was just go, 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 go. By the time second year, it calmed down a little bit. By the time it was third year, in terms of, I mean, and first year, you're also trying to give 100 and gazillion% of yourself to the kids, to everything. You're trying to mark with, like, you know, little annotations and everything. Now it's just like, you know what? It's, I don't know, 3:30 or 4 o'clock. This isn't my time to work anymore. I'm switched off, and I will switch off. I don't bring any work home. I try to do everything that I can at work, but in saying that, I do bring home work some days if I have to, but it's a lot more better now. But again, it is true what they say, teachers are, we work a lot.
Yeah.
We
And
work a lot.
speaking to the changes at ACU and TFA, I think there's been a lot of streamlining over the years, getting rid of anything, you know, that's doubling up. And it is a process that we are still working on. And yeah, I've also found Teach For Australia a very responsive organisation, putting in, using feedback and actually making changes. So yeah, we do a lot of surveys, and I'm always amazed at how quickly they get, you know, turned into data and then implemented. It's always amazing. Yeah. I'm aware that we're sort of running towards the other end of our session tonight. So I'd love to touch on a couple of lighter questions, maybe. Did you have any favorite subjects or assignments that stuck with you as part of the studies? Yeah. Was there the masters?
So funnily enough, so with the idea the TFA is listening, and I feel bad for you, Dushani, because I know that probably your cohort was like 3 assignments every unit. We just did 2 every unit, not to rub it in.
Bloody hell.
We did 2. A little bit less.
Don't worry, I was with you, Dushani. We had it tough.
But yeah, it was slightly less, which was good. But to also answer the thing about timings, my Thursday was always Thursday, and it was always Sunday with my 2 big days. But in terms of memorable subjects, absolutely. So the last assignment you do, and it's always going to be the last assignment you do, but it's the impact project. And that was basically an extended research task that went over like several months. That was brilliant because I did it with my year 11 work-related studies class. There was only 10 in the class. And I literally picked that class. And I thought, ACU is going to love this. It's the easiest class ever. The kids already love me, so they're going to go along with it, whatever I say. But I learned a lot from them. Like I literally did a whole research assessment on how to. I wanted to develop their 4C, so communication, competency, and creativity, and I can't remember now. It was only last year. Communication, I think it was. And so it was a whole research project on those 4 things, and I wanted to work on them individually, and I built like a development rubric, and we did individual surveys and goal tracking, because the whole point of work-related studies is to help them leave school in either a vet program or into a job, into employment. They're not going to go to uni. They're going to try and do something early and earn income for their family. A lot of the kids that I was dealing with were already earning money to support their families. And so like they're about to finish school and like, well, I've already got a job. So like, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm like, well, let's just see what we can do. And I think that was the best subject because Mike Witter, who ran it, it's his baby of a subject. And so he put so much time and energy into it. And he made me just being like, okay, I've really got to try in this. And so even though you have to go through all these research papers and figure out the pedagogy behind it, the actual impact on the name of the assessment, the impact project, literally was me spending 10 or so weeks at the very back end of it, literally just sitting down one-on-one with my 10 students, asking them, how do you feel like you went with your communication this week? Or tell me an example of your creativity. And I gave them challenges and they had to go interview stores and they set up a whole big charity event at the school, and we assessed how they thought their communication would go and their creativity and their critical thinking skills are improving and declining. And there was always that peak and trough, and they thought, no, I'm phenomenal at communication. And then they'd be like tiny little mouses, and they wouldn't go near a shopkeeper because they were terrified they were going to get turned away and they couldn't do their survey. And then they'd say, no, sir, my communication is not great. And at the very end of it, I've got all of this data and I've tracked all of their results. And I literally just gave it back to them and went, this is where we started. This is where we ended. I passed my assessment, by the way, so thank you for that. But this is all the growth you showed. And it was brilliant. They loved it because at the very beginning, they gave me all these quotes about what they thought about themselves and where they thought they were going. And at the very end of it, they saw how detailed their responses gotten. They hated the surveys throughout it. but I liked it, and I liked that they kind of made up random answers here and there, and they try to keep funny jokes throughout it, but it just made it better. That was probably the most memorable. I love the assessment. It was a long assessment, it was a hard assessment, but because I did it with that class and that specific those 10 kids, at the very end of it, because I moved schools just after, I remember that because they didn't like to show their emotions that much. I was in a year 7 class just running a digitech lesson, and they've somehow gotten out of class and they've opened the door to my classroom and they've piffed this, it's around here somewhere, but this big Stitch plush toy, and that was their way of saying, "Thank you, sir. You've done great." And then they ran out. I was like, "Thanks, boys. I'll take that one." I've still got it. My daughter loves it. But yeah, that was them being like, "We're going to miss you, sir." And then they thought the new school I was going to was very more highbrow than their school. I'd really assure them that it really wasn't. And they bought me because I did not dress up for school, but they bought me a white button-up shirt, thinking that I needed to dress up to make sure that I stay at this
the right
school.
size?
No, they ripped it, but that's okay. But they were awesome, and that was really the best part about it, because I ended on a high. That was the best assessment. It was the best. Mike was awesome. Kids are great. So that was, absolutely the most memorable. And I still have all of the little trinkets and stuff they've given me throughout the process.
Yep.
I don't know if it was to bribe me. Like, it was literally just to develop them, but it did well.
Do you know, I have a second year. She has teenage children at the moment. So she's just done her plan for her impact project. And she wasn't, again, like, it's a big task and she wasn't sure. And then I don't know if it was Mike Witter, or one of the other ACU subject leads, who got on a call with her and had this discussion about how amazing, you know, if she did this and this, and oh, this could be really good. And she spoke to me and she's like, I didn't really care that much about this assignment, but now, because they've shared their enthusiasm with me, and now I have these ideas, and actually this is going to be amazing. And so it can be a huge win. That's great to hear, Sam. Thank you so much. Dushani, do you have a recent work or parenting win that you'd like to share?
A recent work or a parenting win? Oh gosh, a parenting win would be, oh God, I feel like I'm not winning right now. My daughter's my son's a bit of my daughter's being, I don't know. She's turned into ultimate jerk mode.
I always tell our associates, you know, when they sort of feel like they're not doing enough, or they're worried that they're failing their kids or in some way, I always say to them, but the fact that you care enough, like, that is where the value is, you know, like that shows me that you could never fail them. Like, you care so much.
I think I needed that. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh no,
you don't understand. I feel like all of a sudden my daughter went from like lovely to not lovely, but some days she's lovely and some days she's very mean. She's probably somewhere listening to me and she's going to be mean later on. But what was it? A win at school. Look, I can give you 1,000 wins at school, because I honestly go in every day and I feel like I'm making a difference. Chemistry can be a really boring subject to teach, but I have been, like, today, for example, I've done a year 12 extension class with my year 11s, and they tackled a year 12 exam question, and they did it after just one lesson of teaching this content area and just extending them. And they're all there going, you know what, this isn't bad. And just telling my kids, like, you know, guys, I want you to just reflect on where you started when you were in year 11, looking at some of the year 12 exams, thinking, I can't do this, to where you are right now and how much you're able to do. And then they have that moment where they just sit there and go, huh. And I'm like, I know, you know, and wait until you get to uni and you have that moment even afterwards. And just seeing them randomly, they pop up at school and they've graduated, but they're like, Miss, we're super seniors because of you now. And they rock up to school, and apparently that's a thing. A super senior is someone that comes back to the school once they graduate. So they come to visit, they bring me chocolates, they bring me stuff, and I'm just happy to see you guys. They're out in the world, they're, you know, they're superstars, and I'm so proud of them. But that's definitely a work win. But I mean, a home win, my kids are beautiful. In they can be jerky sometimes, but that's understandable because I can be a jerk sometimes too. But in general, they're there to support me as well. And, my son gets into the car and he's like, "So how was your day, mum?" And I'm like, "What 13-year-old asks you that?" So,
It,
yeah.
that's lovely. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, it's pretty amazing watching young people grow, whether they're your own children or whether they're the children you have in your
Yeah.
classroom. It is, yeah, it's pretty special to be a part of their journey. Yeah. Yeah, we are coming towards the end of our time. So unless Sam or Dashani have anything urgent they'd really like to get off their chests or elaborate on.
No, just because I feel like the hardest thing to grasp when you start the program is the time commitment and realistically how much time you have to assign to everything. I think Dushani and I are literally on both spectrums on that side. So Dushani would do like the overnighters, and she passed, so she's still here doing an overnighter, and it was an hour before the assessment,
Am
which
I
is blowing my
here?
mind.
I can't. Oh.
Blowing my mind. But I was like, I planned it out. So mine was like, okay, I have my study day, so that was a full day, and then I'd have my Sundays, and we have my routine. So yeah, I think the hours there is like 50 hours, probably, like maybe that's about right, like 2 full days of like 24 hours, obviously, like scattered throughout it, definitely. It is a long program, and there's chunks of time where like they all converge together. So in your second year, you do the GTPA, and then you do your, for whatever reason, your CPA units, and you do the same assessment twice over 3 weeks, and there's like 4 big assessments due right at the start of the year, which I think is slightly changed now. But like there's these big moments where it just feels like you don't have enough hours in the day, and then there's, as it starts teetering off towards the end of the year, you can slowly start reducing it down. And I still remember when I can count the number of assessments on one hand, and it was like this was like a major win, because you always like, I've got 10 left, and then you're like, no, I've got 5 left, I've got 3 left. But yeah, hours in the day, it was literally just a Thursday and a Sunday consistently for however long. And unfortunately, even though they always say you've got your school holidays, you don't. So you basically just, for me, it was, I've got those 2 weeks to myself ish. And those were getting ahead of my assignment. So I think I got like 3 or 4 done in those 2 weeks places, just so I'd have the free time to do all the extra marking, because the schoolwork is a lot, especially if you're developing new units like I do my first year.
And it can really vary so much on the school and as to
Absolutely.
whether there are resources available or you're creating them, or if the curriculum's changed. And, English teachers versus maths teachers, there's always friction about who's got more marking, and it looks different in different faculties and different schools. So, yeah.
My first school, it was build everything from the ground up. The new school I'm in now, I don't know, literally don't know what to do with my time. I've tried to find things to fill it, because things are
we
just
should all be
made.
so lucky. Yeah.
Everything across already from my last school, it just feels like, and it's a big TFA school, which I think really highlights the TFA's built that up. But it's very bizarre to me going, I spent 2 years stressing over content that I've now brought across, and I was like, yeah, we did that. It's fine. It's done. We're ready. Just relax. Enjoy.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you both so much. We really appreciate your answers. I hope everyone's found it really enlightening. You've given so much detail, and I think there's been some vulnerability in your answers as well, which is really lovely. So thank you so much. There will be a couple of links dropped into the chat. I think Kelly might have already even done that. So there is an events page on the Teach For Australia website where you can register to attend upcoming webinars and events. It's possible to have one-on-one discussions with our recruiters. So please email through if you would like that, and they will reach out to you. And I think everyone who's attending, you'll also receive an email with the links and the recording of the webinar as well. I think we're in our last round of recruiting for 2027, which is crazy. I can't believe that it's already July. I'm not sure how this happened. But yeah, it is great as well to be working with my associates who are now sort of finding that, especially the second years, where they're going, oh, the number of assignments is nearly, like, we're nearly there. And it's a great feeling. So yeah, thank you so much, Sam and Dushani. And thank you everyone for coming along and your questions. It's been really great.
Thank you. Cheers. Hopefully I can help.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.